Hi, 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 hi. Welcome to the Table of Man. Okay, so today we're talking about dads and sons. And just before the show started this evening, I had shared the invitation to a group that I belong to. And a woman mentioned, and I'd like to read exactly what she said. Where is it? Where is it? Okay. So she said deeply, it's a natural connection, fathers and daughters. That does not mean they won't love their father. That is speaking about the boys. That doesn't mean they won't love their father. But why are they at loggerheads? Ego loafer. In other words, it is the ego of the boys and their fathers that is causing them to be at loggerheads with one another. And then she now said men and ego, 5 and 6. Even to a boy toddler. Even to a boy toddler. Leave that matter. Leave matter for ellipse. So on that note, I open the floor on today's episode of Table of Men. Let's talk about dads and sons. This topic is a very practical one. I'm very sure that every man who is listening, or every young man, teenage boy, teenage male, listening or watching this, you can relate to some of the dimensions of how this thing plays out, right? I believe that the experiences that various individuals have had, with their fathers, especially boys. I'm not going to assume, but I think for the most part, I have only seen a handful of guys who have very solid relationships with their father. Like, I mean, very solid. Among all my friends, I only know of one that has in fact, he has had a very solid relationship with his dad, even from when we were in the university, when we were teenagers. Very solid relationship. At that time, I used to just wonder, like, why is this boy daddy's boy? Like, why is it daddy's boy like this? Any little thing, he's saying, my dad will always say, my dad says, and I'm like, why you just quoting your dad? Don't you have a mind of your own? That's where I saw it. Because I didn't have a solid relationship with my father. And I think this is not a mistake that we can afford to make in our own generation. We must build up and work on the mistakes of the past generation. We must not repeat the mistakes that the generation before us made. So our fathers didn't take the time to have the necessary relationship that they needed to have with us. They didn't, they spent most of their time at work. They didn't invest time, in getting to know us. But we need to do differently. We need to act differently. We need to think differently. So when it comes to the relationship between dads and sons, we must acknowledge that we have a lot of work to do in this area. So where do we begin from? Should we start from the boys or from the men? Boys or fathers? Which of them? Let's see. Okay, let's just say that. Let's begin from the perspective of the mothers. How many mothers are comfortable seeing that strained relationship between their husbands and their sons? How many? I don't think. Doctor. Is it what's his name? He's on Instagram. He mentioned about he told a story. I watched one of his videos. I think that was on Monday. He told a story about how he had been distant from his son, and how He had tried to force things, but it wasn't working. And so his son was having, a football game. He was in the football team, and then they played that football team. So his wife were there to watch. And interestingly, the son's team lost the match. Very bad situation. The son's team lost the match. And so after the match ended, they went on the pitch, and he said he just stood there. His wife was walking towards, was just near him, and then the son saw the two of them, and then with tears in his eyes started to walk towards them. And of course he was like, oh well, you go and meet your mother. In his mind, he's going to go and meet his mother, and cry in his mother's arms. But he said something shocking happened. The son walked up to him and hugged him tightly and was crying. For him, that was the very first time that he and his son were having a connection that they had never had before. So his son hugged him, and they stayed, he said both of them, held that hug, and they were quiet. They were both in silence. For some time. They were both silent for some time. And, after a while, and the son was crying, and he too was crying, And after a while, the son just kind of calmed down, and that was it. But he mentioned how he felt in that moment. Like, he felt like he could be there for his son. Like, he could be there to support his son in his low moments, And that was a very big deal for him, actually. A very, very big deal. That his son could be vulnerable with him in that very special moment. So, there are so many fathers out there who actually desire that their son will be vulnerable with them, that their son would walk up to them in their weakest moments, that their son would confide in them in those moments when it looks like they should have gone to their mother. But in reality, boys should actually gravitate towards their father, especially in those moments of weakness, in those moments of looking for strength. Right? So that begins it. There has been something said from a woman about ego. That ego prevents boys and women. The ego prevents boys and men from connecting on a level that they should connect. I don't know why that is so, but I think that there's a lot more to this thing than just ego, right? I think there's more to it than ego. I just think it's just the order of things where boys think like, I am a man of myself. I'm now a man myself. I don't want to rely. Well, you could say it's ego, Sha. You could actually say it's ego. You could say it's ego. That thing like, I'm a man of myself. I don't have to rely on my father. Those kind of stuff. Yeah, I think I buy it. Excuse me 1 second. I need to share this link. I don't know why I can't find. For those who know what's up, Apple, I need to share the link to join this, to my WhatsApp. I'm looking for the link. I don't know. Why isn't it so?
Sure.
I can't even see the link. But I used to have this, right? I used to have it like, just click on it, I can copy the link. She don't come.
Wait, she don't come.
Okay, you're welcome to Dads and Sons. Let's talk about Dads and Sons.
Me, I'm a girl.
Hmm?
I'm a lady.
Well, you are here to talk about dads and sons.
Really?
So what do you think? I read the story. I read comments from a lady about dads and sons.
Okay.
I hope you heard me.
I think so. I'm not sure.
He said ego is what causes the two of them to be at loggerheads, dads and sons. And I don't know why. Do you agree, or why do you think dads and sons are usually not connected? Why are they usually not?
I think the same problem that doesn't make daughters and mothers connect is the same reason why fathers and sons do not connect. I think this is it.
Okay. I don't know what does not make mothers and daughters not connect.
Okay, I think I saw a video of someone I respect a lot. That's Pastor ID.
ID Kabasa.
Yeah. So he said something that one of the things he had to do when his daughter was turning a teenager was to take her for a counseling session.
Counseling?
Yeah, to speak with a therapist or something, because he knew that she was going to have, like in his word, like an identity issue when it gets to a particular age, and that may actually cause some things between she and
her mother.
So he had to take that step, and that was my first time of hearing that
he did that.
That he did that.
Same here.
Something like that is possible, because I think there's just that thing of that child that you gave birth to yesterday is now as tall as you or even taller, and then you're sharing almost the same shoe size, sharing the same clothes. Like as a lady, she's already trying to make up, and there is this. I've not been there. Unfortunately, I did not experience this with my mother because she died quite early in life.
She passed away when you were young.
Yeah, when I was still very young. So I didn't have to experience. I don't know what that stage
is like.
Do you understand? But I feel for my brothers and my father. My father happened to be a military man, so it was this get things done, read your book, and just stay indoor. So I grew up knowing my father and my brother to be at loggerheads. In the sense that my father wants it this way, my brothers wanted it this way. So he and our firstborn were always having issues. My brother wants to play ball, our secondborn is an instrumentalist, so he wants to go for rehearsal. Our thirdborn is also an instrumentalist, he wants to go for a rehearsal, and there is always
a clash.
But what he wants is read your book. So you get back from school, you do your assignments, you eat, you rest, go into the living room and read. Just read. As in, that's why I grew up knowing my father.
Just that book,
just read. Shark away. So my dad can tell you he's traveling for 3 days and end up maybe coming back that same day, or use like 1 week. Or he will tell you he's going for like 1 week and he'll come back the next day. So everybody's always at alert, so that
always on the edge of their seats,
always on the edge, so that he's not coming back and
catching you unawares.
So
as they're playing, they keep a book beside.
You can't even play, because you cannot be playing on the street. We stayed in Sulere. You can't be playing on the street, and our house is very close to the junction. It's not like it's at the end of the. Do you understand? So my brothers were usually very scared to do certain things, and when he passed, it was a big deal, because the same way he handled them was the way they handled me. So when I tell people I'm the only girl of five, there is this thing of and in my mind I'm like, what is hurting you people? Because I don't have the baby girl lifestyle. I don't have it. So for my dad and my brothers, I don't know, he just wanted it a certain way. Our firstborn,
he wanted it
yes,
a certain way.
he wanted them to just read. Yes, he wanted them to just read, to be the best and all. But my brothers wanted something else. Our firstborn wanted to play ball. Our secondborn was drunk and drunken in playing in music, in singing, in playing keyboard and playing a guitar. Our third one was baptized in playing trumpet.
Obsessed with.
Do you understand? So he had issues with these first three, but somehow the smartest of them all will always have his way, which is our third born. He knows how to get our dad to do what he wants.
As a politician.
I think that's like I don't know how he was able to navigate his way, but
this clash of wills, I don't know. At what point should a father come to recognize the will, to recognize and accept, and maybe submit, and that is difficult. Maybe recognize, accept, acknowledge, and then submit to the will of his son.
See,
because maybe perhaps I think this is where the biggest issue of clashes come from.
For our fathers, you had your own fair share with your dad. You wanted a particular thing for you. You wanted something else for yourself. Yes. Do you understand? So I think for our fathers, just the way we will talk about our mothers now is the fact that who raised them.
Yes.
Do you understand? That our own grandparents who raised them. Did they also have the kind of relationship we want them to have with us, with their own parents? Did their parents ever sat them down to ask them certain questions about their will?
About what they want.
You know, then I don't know, but I think then they will just tell you, oh, this is the guy I want you to marry from a particular compound, from a particular family, and you don't have a choice.
Just go and marry.
Do you understand? So now they are now also struggling with accepting the fact that their own children are telling